Crash had a history of being reckless.
This is an example of an individual that is scum.
Plus, what we're learning about the victims, a mother and her 3 young children. Plus,
we need to provide school boards the tools and the guidelines to get the kids back in the classroom.
the province releases its plan for students' return to school in September. And Torontonians will be able to get a marriage license again come Monday. What does it mean for couples who've been waiting to tie the knot? Good evening, I'm Mike Wise. There's a growing memorial tonight at the spot of a senseless crash in Brampton. We're learning more about the mother who died in that accident, along with her 3 young daughters, and we're learning more about what might have led up to it. Today, a video believed to be of one of the cars involved in the crash is circulating on social media. Angelina King has more.
The person who posted this video says it was taken in Caledon 2 days before yesterday's crash in Brampton. It shows a blue Infiniti lurching through an intersection, then mounting the curb while people try to stop it. Then it reverses and speeds away. The man who posted it says he tried getting the driver to stop, who was passed out and almost hit someone.
A complete disregard for human life. And is a danger to our community.
Brampton's mayor shared the video online and says the 20-year-old man was driving with a prohibited license and no insurance. He says he's previously faced charges, including impaired driving. CBC has not independently verified those details.
Selfish, reckless. This is an example of an individual that is frankly scum.
The OPP says it's investigating after the incident was reported on Tuesday. Peel Regional Police say they're also aware of the video, but haven't confirmed if it's part of their investigation into yesterday's crash that killed Carolina Chisulo and her 3 daughters, Clara, Liliana, and Mila. This video from a doorbell camera shows the car driving fast. The homeowner says the vehicle was being followed by a police car. Seconds later, the crash. The SIU says a Peel police officer spotted a blue Infiniti traveling eastbound on Countryside Drive shortly after noon yesterday. Moments later, the car slammed into Chisulo's SUV, sending it crashing into a light pole and leaving a community to mourn.
It's devastating, and we just live close by, and we come by here all the time.
I feel sick to my stomach. I couldn't sleep last night.
Mason Saeed tended to the man in the Infiniti.
He was just screaming this whole time, yeah. He was in pain. I can definitely see that he was in pain.
Brampton's mayor says the driver of the blue Infiniti suffered a broken leg. He's in hospital listed in serious condition. Peel's police chief says there's an overwhelming amount of information coming in about this crash and says charges are expected to be laid. Angelina King, CBC News, Brampton.
The Dufferin-Peel Catholic School Board has confirmed Carolina Chisulo was a grade 4 teacher at St Isaac Jogues Catholic Elementary School in Brampton. As Talia Ricci tells us, she was loved by her students and the community.
As a teacher, Carolina Chisulo's impact was widespread.
I love her because she's so outgoing. She's so she's just like the best. I can't even describe it.
12-year-old Bhavana Tony visited the scene of yesterday's crash with a note for one of her favorite teachers and a teddy bear for the children. She remembered meeting 2 of Chisulo's young daughters.
One time she brought them for a whole day so we could have fun time with them. I think they were so playful. They were kind just like her. And I had a feeling when they would grow up, there will be another her.
The community is still reeling over the loss of Chisulo and her 3 children, 6-year-old Clara, 4-year-old Liliana, and Mila, who is just 1. Students tell us she was still on maternity leave from her teaching job at St Isaac Jogues Catholic Elementary School, where the flag was half-mast today.
Do you remember her, Ray?
She was just a very lovely person. Very lovely.
A GoFundMe page started by a family friend aims to help the father left behind.
I was at their wedding a number of years ago, some family functions and celebrations and that kind of stuff. Always, both of them were super quiet, super friendly, sweet. The whole family is you couldn't say a bad word about anything.
The tragedy struck a chord with many who don't know the family personally, but feel the weight of the loss.
Father's Day is on Sunday, and this father has lost his whole entire family. He's lost his kids.
I can sleep. I mean, I feel sick to my stomach.
Bhavana Tony says she'll never forget what Chisulo said to her class before she took time off to get a surgery a couple of years ago.
She said that if she doesn't come out, that we should always believe in ourselves and that we should keep on going and we should always do what we wanted to do and never give up. I made her a letter saying that I would always remember her and that we would always love her and that she would never ever be forgotten.
Talia Ricci, CBC News, Brampton.
Well, a man in his 30s is dead after a daylight shooting in Toronto's busy Corsa Italia neighborhood. Police rushed to the scene at St Clair Avenue West and St Clarence Avenue just before noon when they got word that several people might have been shot. Now, that was later corrected. You can see more than a dozen bullet markers on the ground there and a white SUV with California license plates and its driver's side window blown out. Police believe this was a targeted shooting and say the suspects were watching and waiting on a side street for the victim to come back to his car. That's when they ambushed him. You can see the suspect in this security footage from a local business. They are still at large, police saying they fled the area in a four-door sedan. And an animal rights activist was killed at a protest outside a Burlington meat processing plant this morning. Halton police say the victim was a woman in her 60s. She was killed when she was hit by a transport truck. The incident happened at Fearman's Park on Harvester near Appleby Line. The plant has long been the site of animal rights protests. Many activists gather at the entrance gate and try to give water to the pigs in the trucks waiting to get into the plant. No word on whether any charges will be laid. The provincial government has revealed its framework for what school could look like in Ontario this fall. The plan lays out a range of options for in-class and remote learning, but it leaves the decisions up to local school boards. Queen's Park reporter Mike Crawley has that story.
When school resumes in this province in September, it will almost certainly not look like this. COVID-19 will bring changes to Ontario classrooms, but the details could differ from one school board to the next.
We simply can't provide a blanket solution for the whole province. Instead, we need to provide school boards the tools and the guidelines to get the kids back in the classroom.
The province wants boards to prepare for 3 different scenarios: a full-fledged return to class with enhanced health and safety measures, full-time remote learning, entirely online at home, or a hybrid, with kids spending half their days at home and half at school. Boards could shift between models as the risk from the virus changes. Starting off in September, the education minister says the hybrid is the most likely.
While boards will have plans in place for all 3 scenarios, I expect that all Ontario students will enter into a cautious adaptive delivery model.
What would that look like? Students would come to school on alternating days or weeks. There'd be no more than 15 kids in a classroom at once, and when not in class, they'd learn online. There's also a promise that all parents will have an option.
If you don't feel comfortable, if you're worried about your child returning to school, we'll keep at-home learning available for your child.
There's been much criticism of the quality of online instruction so far during the pandemic. The government is promising more support for teachers, but no specifics just yet. Today, the government also announced its per-student funding for this coming school year. It's an increase of 2%.
The Minister of Education has a lot to answer for. It is unacceptable that we aren't seeing an investment, a significant investment in new staff to support students.
The final decisions on resuming school won't be made until August. Mike Crawley, CBC News, Toronto.
Supporters of Black Lives Matter left their mark outside police headquarters today, painting a defund the police message right onto College Street. This is to mark Juneteenth, the emancipation of African Americans from slavery, a day that's taken on renewed focus because of recent incidents of anti-black racism and police violence in the United States. Ali Chanson has that story.
They used their voices, and paint rollers to spell it out.
It's time to disarm the police. It's time to dismantle the police. The Toronto Police Services budget is over $1.1 billion, which is more funding than is allotted for libraries, housing, and shelters combined. We believe that Black communities and all communities deserve better.
Black Lives Matter Toronto says the money should be reinvested like this.
A redirect of a minimum of 50% of the $1.1 billion TPS budget towards the communities that they have devastated.
This sit-in has taken over Bay Street from College down to Queen Street pretty much. It's a peaceful disruption that's full of music and dancing and solidarity, but it's their message that rings the loudest.
It is important for us to come out and advocate and stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in the South, as well as advocate for Indigenous, Black women, trans women, and every other person that's been oppressed in the system.
We are here united together.
In the United States, June 19th, or Juneteenth, celebrates the end of slavery. Its origins go back over 150 years, and today it takes on greater significance across North America as protests and awareness about anti-Black racism grow.
I think it's important for me specifically, but for all of us as allies to the Black community. And I think it takes all of our voices to come together in order to support and move this society to a more equal and equitable society. So it's important for me to be here on behalf of them because that's what they need.
We are here because all Black lives matter. Disarm! Defund! Dismantle! Abolish! Defund! Disarm! Dismantle! Abolish!
Juneteenth today kicks off another busy weekend coming up in Toronto of rallies and events in support of Black Lives Matter. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
We've been so excited for the last 2 years. We've put so much time and effort into planning and so much money into it.
Coming up, COVID-19 forced many couples to rejig or even cancel their weddings. So what does it mean now that the city is issuing marriage licenses again? Plus,
a big weekend ahead. Summer starts officially, and we've got Father's Day and heat warnings in place. I'm meteorologist Colette Kennedy. I'll tell you how warm not only the temperatures are going to be, but the humidex values. That's all coming up after the break.
Residents of Halton, York, and Durham regions are now able to hit their local patios and get a haircut.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes.
Oh my God, it's heaven. You don't know what you've missed until you've been without it for a while.
Outdoor dining, hair salons, and shopping malls are now allowed there under stage 2 of the province's COVID response. Meanwhile, in Toronto, Mayor John Tory said he believes we're almost there, with Toronto's numbers heading in the right direction, under 100 new cases per day. Toronto, Peel, and Windsor could enter stage 2 as early as next Friday. Well, Toronto City Hall is slowly getting back to offering more services, and that includes marriage licenses. As of Monday, some of the thousands of couples who had to delay or cancel their nuptials will get the chance to at least get started on the paperwork. But as Lauren Pelly tells us, that doesn't mean it's actually any easier to have a wedding.
That love was only true in fairy tales.
It's been a while since these kinds of weddings happened in Toronto, but now real-life couples could be one step closer.
City staff hope to issue 1,100 to 1,300 marriage licenses per week.
Mayor John Tory says the city will start offering them again on Monday.
Couples who wish to get married this year can now plan for their wedding with the confidence they will be able to obtain their marriage license.
Between March and June last year, the city issued roughly 7,000 marriage licenses. That same time this year, during the pandemic, only around 420, and those were mostly for urgent situations.
So we have quite a backlog to deal with as well.
And there's another hitch. Many GTA couples like Alexandra and her fiancé Kyle say licenses are only half the battle. The pair was planning a wedding in the woods for September.
We've been so excited for the last 2 years. We've put so much time and effort into planning and so much money into it. But obviously things changed.
With thousands locked into one vendor, the couple is shifting their plans, having a small ceremony on their original date and a party later.
There's a lot of people locked into venue contracts, which I am as well, who can't get out of them and still can't have the wedding they wanted to have. So likely the wedding's going to be next year or the year after.
Tory acknowledged many couples want to wait it out.
But for some, love cannot wait. And so for those who want to get married now, we are happy to once again provide this service at the North York Civic Centre.
If you want to tie the knot in Toronto, you have to go on the city's website, make an appointment, and meet city staff in person. A minor hassle perhaps, but even the best marriages take a bit of work. Lauren Pelly, CBC News, Toronto.
The Toronto Blue Jays shut down their spring training complex in Dunedin today after one of the team's players developed symptoms consistent with COVID-19. The team says all staff at the training camp are now being tested. And that shutdown came just hours after the Philadelphia Phillies shut down their facility in Clearwater, after 5 players and 3 staff members tested positive for the coronavirus. All this happens as players continue to work out as negotiations for a start of the season continue. Time for a look at our weekend weather forecast with meteorologist Colette Kennedy. And Colette, beautiful weather where I was today, but I know elsewhere it felt a bit different.
Yeah, that's right. There were so many different things happening in the city, right, Mike? I mean, just another beautiful day, although the humidity was coming up, and we're going to have more of that. And I'm going to talk to you about what's going on now with Environment Canada issuing the heat warnings. But yes, we had some severe weather and a risk of that bubbling up again tomorrow with some of that convection. So just a reminder, summer begins officially tomorrow, 5:44, the summer solstice. A repeat performance, though, so we could see again some not only severe thunderstorm watches, but some warnings. And again, it's kind of to the north, to the west, and the east of the city, but not necessarily in the city itself. And for Father's Day, I say plan accordingly because, again, there are areas further to the west where you're likely going to see some showers and thunderstorms earlier in the day. But for the GTA, it's more likely later, so you do okay in terms of any outdoor plans you may have. here we go. Our heat warning in place. This is for Saturday, for Sunday. It may get extended into Monday as well because we're talking about our humidex values going up and getting closer towards 40 as the humidity is building over the next few days. So into the city, around the GTA, back towards southwestern Ontario as well. It was already in play into eastern Ontario. Our daytime temperatures, I just want to show you that even overnight, you know, when you're in the upper teens with some of these numbers, some of the overnight lows closer to even 20 over the next couple of days makes it harder to get any relief, especially if you don't have any air conditioning or that kind of thing. By 11 a.m., we're already into the mid-20s, and then you can kind of see at 3 p.m., just look not necessarily at the numbers, but look at the colors. Okay, you see the orange in here, and then I put it to 4 1 hour later, and you see how it goes back to yellow. That's because of some of those storms that popped up and brought the temperature down just a little bit because of the heavy rains and some of those very strong winds, even a bit of small hail. Through tomorrow, kind of the same thing. As we get into the afternoon hours, we'll see some of these bubbling up again because of some of that breeze off the lake and then the daytime heating. So the risk of that again then. And then Sunday, it's an actual, I say a cold front, it's a very weak one. Starts into southwestern Ontario and then pushes eastward late towards the evening. It is a weak one. It may bring our dew points down a little bit. That's about it. Look at these temperatures for tomorrow afternoon, feeling like 38 in southwestern Ontario. Tonight, almost 20 degrees for our overnight lows in the city. Tomorrow afternoon, okay, Hamilton maybe 29 in Oshawa, but otherwise we're talking 30 to 31. And Father's Day, it's going to be a hot one for Dad because it's going to be feeling like about 38 degrees. And this is why I say even after that cold front goes through, Mike, we may be seeing that heat warning extended into Monday.
Going to be a hot weekend. Thanks a lot, Colette.
You're welcome.
The weather is brought to you by Trane, the most reliable heating and cooling brand. We test, so it runs. It's hard to stop a train.
So after the break, we'll meet the woman behind a panda costume who's making birthdays in quarantine a little more special.
I love the idea. I drove to Kingston to get my own suit and then started visiting friends' kids and then open it up to the whole neighborhood.
There's no doubt COVID-19 has changed the way we celebrate birthdays, especially for kids. So one woman has found a memorable way to make them special for kids in the city's West End. Throughout the pandemic, Renee Prue has been dressing up as a panda. Why not? This is 2020. She makes special or surprise birthday visits to residents in the Junction, Bloor West, Swansea, High Park, and Roncesvalles area. We followed her as she suited up for her 100th birthday visit.
Kids love it, especially the little ones. They absolutely love it. The parents too, they get in with photos too with the panda. Everyone just seems to really love Panda. Happy birthday to you. I have to give a shout out to my Aunt Janet. She, aka Nana Panda, she originally had a panda costume for her grandson's birthday. I love the idea. I drove to Kingston to get my own suit and then started visiting friends' kids and then opened it up to the whole neighborhood. You know, the kids were just so overwhelmed with joy, and you know, they told me that they couldn't do anything for their birthday and they were so disappointed. And then I show up and the parents tell me that it made their day. So that just, you know, it just makes my day too.
It's absolutely excellent. I mean, in current conditions, when you cannot have a big party, this is just amazing to have the panda come and help us celebrate.
I heard it's Tate's birthday today. Is it your birthday? Yeah. Yeah. How old are you? I'm 4. It must be difficult for kids right now. They can't see their friends. You know, they're stuck inside most of the day. They can't go to school, all that kind of stuff. So I'm probably helping out with their mental health as well, having a panda come to their house.
Nice job. What a great way to spread a little joy. Well, there are many churches and religious groups looking forward to returning to their usual places of worship, some as early as this weekend. Well, tomorrow on day 6 on CBC Radio, Brent Banbury talks with one minister of a Pentecostal church in Pembroke who found a unique way to keep preaching to his faithful. He held services at the local drive-in. You'll hear about that tomorrow at 10 a.m. on CBC Radio 1. Have a great Father's Day weekend. I'll see you back here Monday at 11. Good night.